All right, y'all. I think I'm gonna try to get this week's call done in a pretty efficient manner and cut you guys loose. I've got some tactical stuff to discuss this week, so some things you can work on, or I think that you should work on this week that would be really, really good to support your real estate business. So let's dive right into this week's productivity call. I wanted to talk about, with it being the end of a quarter and the start of a new quarter, I wanted to talk about the consumer's top two expectations of real estate agents, which in the past, I've always said number one is market knowledge and number two is marketing. But I just went to our friend Gemini and asked AI, I was like, what are the top two top two expectations of consumers looking to hire a real estate agent? And AI said number one was trust and number two was market knowledge. All right. So if we go work off that for a sec, right? And let's put trust at number one, market knowledge at number two, and marketing at number three. I'm going to show you how those number two and number three, those bottom two, can build number one, which is trust. And then there is a quote from some motivational productivity guru that says trust equals capacity. Trust equals capacity for more business. So the more people that trust you, the greater and larger, the bigger your real estate business grows. So let's focus on the two things that build trust the fastest and in the most productive way possible to result in what we're all looking for, which is more sales. So I think from a market knowledge standpoint, what I would be doing or highly recommend is that everybody dive into the numbers in their marketplace and produce a Q1 graphic. So this is what happened Q1. So I've been tracking like the Smith Lake sales, January, February, March. And so now I'm going to do, I will do a March and then I will do a quarter wide, like a Q1 wide kind of stats graphic. And you can put that into the form of a post. You could also make it a blog article if you wanted to get some more leverage out of it. But talking about the market, in the market that you serve, which should in some form or capacity support your specialization. So that it's all like tied in together. You see the intentional congruence of all this, about how it all kind of works together. So let's think about how many real estate agents are going to be focused on what happened in their target marketplace for March, much less breaking down all those numbers across the entire quarter. All right. And so this would be an accountability exercise if you don't have a market that you're specializing in, if you're not studying the numbers, if you're not previewing properties in this marketplace. I'm trying to get out there and preview like I think there's like 112 listings on the lake right now. I'm trying to get out and preview like 2 or 3 a week. And then I use marketing to maximize that time, right? Because at the end of those exercises, those activities, there's no immediate gratification of dollars. So agents are like, what's the point? I just need to do the thing that leads directly to the closing in the fastest time period possible. And real estate just doesn't work that way in most cases. So Anissa, you had an example of a win this week that was like almost unheard of, right? But it happens. Like I sold one this year, showed one house, had another one. I showed them 2 houses, the second one they bought. So it's just odd for that to happen, but it does happen. Most of the time we have to, like the effort we put in is going to be a direct reflection of the effort we get out. So first tactical advice is to research the numbers. And so if you don't know, let me back up. If you don't know where you're supposed to start your research, then we've got potentially a specialization problem. But if Blake, for example, is still wanting to break into Ross Bridge, then he would examine, he would break down January, February, March, the numbers for all 3 months, and then what were the totals for the quarter, and post that on his Facebook page. So it'd be really good advice. The next thing I want to talk about is marketing. I know some of y'all probably get tired of me referencing KD Edenfield. I think everybody needs to be following him. But just to see what I'm noticing with him is his market evolution, right? And this guy, to definitely to Blake's chagrin, is not a phone prospector, but is doing, an $8 to $10 million business just off of marketing. So he's teaching himself and he's reaching out to other agents. When we had him on this call, he talked about reaching out to agents that when he was getting in the business, he had a couple friends that were agents in markets, like one's like South Florida. So reached out to him, was like, man, seem like you're like doing that Chris Mallory business. You're doing something every week. What's the secret? He's like, consistent marketing. I put out a piece of content, try to put out a piece of content every day. And he's like, man, it's a big commitment, but stick with it for 6 months or more and it will work. It will pay off. So he just started out with those lifestyle videos, like what are the top 5 Mexican restaurants, all those things. Where's the best margarita? And wanted to give Alex Ruiz some kudos on this call this morning if he showed up, because he did, I think, a top 5 margarita video recently, and I was hearting that thing up. It was awesome. But that's where Katie started. And now he's just doing all this badass marketing at the beach. It's just the evolution. Like, he got a drone. He started out with just TikTok and Instagram, and then he went to YouTube. He got a drone. He just keeps building off of this. So people are just seeing how he is marketing homes and going, man, my agent's not doing that, or didn't do that, doesn't do that. And it's continual, right? It's just continually pumping these properties. And what do we know, maybe from our own approach to real estate, or what we see happen with some of the top listing agents in our marketplace, is that there's this like honeymoon period within the first 2 weeks where there's all this activity, all this communication, and then it just drops off and nothing happens pretty much. I mean, the sellers barely get a phone call. It's basically all text, and it's just everything just goes kind of downhill after that kind of 2 week honeymoon period. So I would be focused on him and following him. That's all I'm going to say about Katie right now. I'm going to tell you how you can use marketing, or what is something you could use for motivation to teach yourself how to use your, let's see if I can get your cell phone to get business, to learn how to use your phone to become a real estate marketer so that you attract attention from people online. But I wanted to just use FSBOs as probably our biggest example. All right, so look at this, Anissa, Madison County. I just Googled, went to Google and typed in Madison County FSBO, Madison County FSBO,
Mm-hmm.
52 FSBOs. If I just go to Huntsville FSBO, 22, Birmingham, 22, Hoover, 6, Baldwin County, 80. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So these are some big numbers, whether it's 6 or 80. I mean, that gives you some people to reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got 2 FSBOs that I'm helping with marketing at the lake that want to try it on their own for a period of time, and then have been told, I'd be in the running to at least sit down and have a seat at the table when they decide to interview agents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So our biggest value proposition to these for sale by owners is marketing. They need help with exposure, and we can help them get their phone to ring, and in the process, get our phone to ring.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's think about some collateral benefits of this besides just building a relationship with a for sale by owner. How else can this leveraged activity bring us business? I mean, we're contacting the FSBO. Hopefully, your goal, one of your goals, should be to establish a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, just help them, and by helping them pro bono, you're probably going to, build trust, right? And there's going to be the capacity for future business. But outside of that, people want to see you. We've talked many, many times about how your personal Facebook page, your Instagram, like, people are using these accounts to make sure you're not a part-time agent. I saw a post in one of these many hundreds of real estate groups I'm in. I think it was a consumer saying that real estate agents should have to prove that, or publish, or make it just well known, that real estate's a side hustle for them. Like the consumer should be able to identify who are the full-time agents and who are the part-time agents easily. There should be some like directory that divides us by full-time and part-time. That just kind of shows you where the consumer is mindset-wise based on experience, and they're looking for proof over promise. All right. So instead of sitting down in front of somebody and go, this is why you should hire me, you can sit down in front of me and go, this is why people have hired me in the past because this is what I've accomplished. This is the experience I provided. This is the end result I provided. This is how I took that listing and turned it into the highest comp in the community. They love that. Here's an example of my marketing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Watch this YouTube video. Check out my reels, all the these fancy reels that I do. So to just kind of give you some motivation, these FSBOs are one of the lowest hanging fruit. They're pretty open to open houses as well. But what I'm doing, just to take the heat off you, right? Don't worry about calling. Like we could do a case study with Anissa because she volunteered. And Anissa's gonna text every one of these FSBOs. You're gonna send 52 texts, FSBO texts. I'll tell you what to say in the text, and then we're just going to see who responds. All right. We're going to see how many people responds and where does it go? Where does it go? All right. Now, just kind of put this out there. All right. So if you reach out to 52 FSBOs, let's say 5 out of the 52 respond. Out of those 5, through your marketing, you're able to connect with one buyer. Okay, so you have a new buyer in your pipeline all of a sudden, and then you develop a relationship with one of these FSBOs and end up getting the listing. Would that motivate you to, like, every day or twice a week, 3 times a week, check the FSBO inventory in Huntsville, Madison? Okay. Which could also lead to a specialization, right? Because I get it. The reason why, like, on day one, everybody in this group besides me didn't go, all right, I'm going to really give some serious thought to my specialization. I'm going to select one and I'm going to run with it, is because there's really no motivation there to do so, right? It's like going to the gym. If you knew you went to the gym 3 days a week and did these exact exercises for 6 months, that you would have this guaranteed result, there'd be a lot of people signing up for gym memberships, keeping gym memberships. But the problem is we don't know what exercises we really need to do, how we really need to do them, how long we really need to do them, and what we need to eat, and keeping all that together. But if we had somebody telling us exactly what to do, really like over our shoulder for 6 months, and said, stick with it, you have a six pack, maybe we would, maybe we wouldn't. I don't know. But this is the idea of it. You just don't know. And so we kind of need to see some proof in the pudding first. And so this is a way to prove it, right? And this is also a way, I just want you to ponder, like, the ripple effects that can happen from this. So if Anissa contacts these 52 FSBOs and says, I would just keep it super simple, Anissa. Hey, this is Anissa with Blueprint Realty Company. Would you be open to, or you could just say, hey, like, a lot of times maybe I'll look them up on Forewarn and I'll get their name and I'll say, hey, Bob, this is Jason with Blueprint Realty Company. Hey, would you be open to me featuring your property on my YouTube channel? There's no cost to you. And the goal here is for you to for both of us to gain exposure. She kind of butchered that. Let me go back. Let me get back to one of my FSBO. Let me see if I can find one. But the basis of it is would you be open to? Would you be open to me featuring your property on my YouTube channel at no cost? This is what they want to know. It's like no strings, no cost, no contract. And I'll hear from some that'll say, well, I think that'd be fine. I mean, I have an agent I'm going to go with, in a couple months if I'm not successful selling on my own. But yeah, sure, why not? That's typically the biggest objection, I get, is that, as long as you don't want to, that I'm not going to give you the listing and it doesn't cost me anything, go for it. But I will tell you, one of the FSBOs, like, y'all need to really kind of hear this, is that one of these FSBOs on the lake that I've been working on building this relationship with, that's what she told me. She's like, I got an agent, He is getting this listing if I'm not able to sell it within the first couple months of my own. But I went anyway. And at the end of the appointment, she said, "You know what? I've reached out to this agent a bunch, and he's not acting like he really wants this listing. Like I've given him some assignments, help me out with the value, things like that. Haven't heard back. So I don't really know how motivated he is to take my listing." And I'm like, "You're looking at Mr. Motivated right here. And I will work my butt off to prove that to you or to earn this business, right?" The other thing is, though, I don't care. I don't care if she was serious because that means I've got 2 months to market the heck out of that listing to generate leads into my pipeline, right? So it's a pipeline building activity, but also it's going to show people that I'm busy. A lot of people don't pay attention to the fact that I'm working with FSBOs. They're like, "Man, he's taking so many listings. He's just like really kicking ass on the lake." So any questions from that? None. So it shouldn't be anything holding you back. I'm not asking you to call them. I'm just asking
Yeah.
you to text them. Some of you may be thinking, "Well, crap, I don't have a YouTube channel." So you may want to mix that up and just say, "Hey, would you be open to me providing some marketing support for your property at 123 Main Street? There's no cost involved, and it's just going to help us both get exposure." All right, that was a little cleaner, right? Thoughts, questions, concerns about that? I typically want to get something, and this is why another benefit of text is I just want to get something really in writing saying that I have their permission to do it. So this will help you with the marketing, right? To motivate you to market. So you may go, "Well, crap, let me go to YouTube and watch some YouTube videos on how real estate agents can market properties for sale with their iPhone." Something simple like that. So now you're learning, okay? We've already established the first assignment going into Q2, which is doing a Q1 graphic and saying, "This is what happened in Fairhope. This is what happened in Pelham. This is what happened in Alabaster from January 1 today." So you're going to have a command of market knowledge. So you're doing this market research. Now you're prospecting, you're reaching out, you're sending 52 texts to 52 FSBOs in Madison County. Aaron, there are 80 FSBOs according to Zillow right now in Baldwin County. So if Aaron sent 80, 80 texts, and she could just do, "So I'm going to do this many a day." If she didn't have time to send 80 texts today, well, I'm going to do 10 today and 10 tomorrow and just keep it going. And then you may need to follow up. This is important too. So you may send this text. This is not a may. You're going to send this text and you're going to have a lot of those texts go unresponded to.
Oh, yeah.
And so I usually wait a few days. I might even wait a week. And then I'll circle back with them and I go, "Hey, just following up on my prior text or following up on the above. Have you had time to consider my offer?" Things like that. And they'll go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, whatever. It got buried under a bunch of text. What is it that you're offering?" And then we'll start conversing over text. No questions? It's pretty simple, right? The hard part is that you need to be able to deliver on that marketing piece. And Anissa, Aaron as well. I know Chris is starting to kind of get into that. Like what we see from Chris, right, is a lot of graphics. We're starting to see some video marketing, but the thing about this is we're not having to hire anybody. That's the other thing. This is just sweat equity stuff. And we're just doing we're checking a lot of the boxes that we should be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. Market research, prospecting, meeting new people, building new relationships, doing all these things, learning, advancing our skill set on how to market properties. So this is just collaterally going to be an incredibly beneficial exercise. And again, your news feeds are going to be flooded with activity. There's so much you can do to include still shots of these properties. A lot of times I'll go in and I'll just take a picture of an amazing room or an amazing bathroom and I'll post that, a view, whatever the case may be. A lot of times I'll catch boats going by and I'll just video that, and it just gives me all this little content that I need so that I can just keep this content machine rolling on a consistent basis and not have any lulls. Okay. I just look busy all the time. I look skilled. I look like I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. And it's the proof over the promise. All right. All right. So let's recap. This is a question. All right. Put it in the chat if you know the answer. What is our biggest value proposition to FSBOs? What is the most important thing we can bring to the FSBO table to add value to them? Yep. That's it. So well, that's true. Anissa, so that's true. And how are we going to find that buyer though is marketing, right? Yeah. So in terms, and like Aaron said, knowledge, I do agree with that. One thing I do advise is that we have a line in the sand, because the one thing I know that these FSBOs will do is they will use us and abuse us for as long as we let them. So it's really important to draw a line in the sand, and a good line to draw in the sand is to say, hey, I'm going to market the crap out of your property. I'm going to be like, you've got me on speed dial. Whatever you need, I want you to give me a call. I'm going to keep pumping this property for you, keep you posted on anything exciting that happens. If I nail down a buyer, obviously, if I can create a showing, but I will not, like, pricing is part of my expertise that I leave or limit only to people that officially hire me. So if you end up getting serious about hiring an agent, you ultimately hire me, then of course pricing expertise is going to be a big part of that value proposition. So you may just have something that is kind of like, hey, this is what you get for free. This is what you can expect to get if you end up hiring me. And I think that's a professional approach as well. All right, now what if you end up getting an appointment with this FSBO and you go meet with them? Typically, they want to talk before and after the marketing. I always get them to walk me through the property and point out every single feature they really want me to focus on. What do you think are the wow factors? What do you think buyers are really going to appreciate about this home when they come see it? All that stuff I want to promote. I want to be big on lifestyle, all those things. But let's say we're wrapping up and we're leaving. What if we need to know the answer to this question anyway? We say, well, what commission are you offering? Because I don't even really care. I mean, I don't care if they're offering a commission or not. A lot of people, I think, would turn their nose up at that. Like, why would you help a FSBO market your property? They say they're not offering a commission. Well, a lot of times that's just bluster. That's just smoke they're blowing. But again, I don't care, because, another goal that I have is to generate buyers, right? Generate buyers. And the buyer I generate is probably not going to be interested in their property anyway. Ultimately, they're going to want another property. But I asked the FSBO what commission they're offering, and they say 3%. Then I might just go, well, shoot, I'll list that property right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll list it for 3. I'll take 1. I'll give 2 to the buyer's agent. How's that sound? What do they got to lose at that point? So that's going to give me a listing. All right. That's going to give me an open house to host. That's going to give me increased credibility. So what if, I don't know, 10 of these 52 FSBOs in Huntsville, Madison are already offering 3%? What if they're offering 2.5? You go, hey, bump that up to 3 and I'll just list this sucker. I'll give you a full court, full press, not a discounted service listing, a full service listing for 3%. Give me some negative feedback about that. Give me your reservations about that. I mean, the obvious downside is it's not full compensation.
Well, $100 in the pocket is more than $0 in the pocket, right?
So that's the exact point I'm looking for, is that something's better than nothing, but like the leverage, like what we can use, like we could run Facebook ads, we could do boosted posts with this listing. Like this listing could be the catalyst for 2 or 3 other transactions. Plus, we're going to make a little money at closing. We're going to build a relationship. We're going to put somebody else in our sphere of influence. What's the downside? All right, I wanted to keep this meeting short this morning. Just give you some tactical things to run with. Of course, I'll be posting the recap on my personal Facebook page. So if you want to read those notes and just kind of get a fuller overview of what we discussed, be happy to go there. But Anissa, I want to hear, like, next week, we're going to hear the results of you sending 52 texts. Now, I want just real quick before we go, some of these may be dumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed some of these are going to be dumpy. Some of these are going to be land. So there may be only 30. You may go, hey, out of those 52, there were 30 that because it's really hard to market something that looks bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless it's a deal, unless you can spin it some other way. So you might say out of those 52, 30 look really, really viable. Like I would be proud to market these 30. So I reached
Mhm.
out to those 30. So we want to hear next week what happens. And then hopefully Aaron might send, 40 texts to these 80 FSBOs in Baldwin County and just see what was the conversation like, right? Where did it go? How did it go? Where did it go right? Where did it go wrong? Where did it lead? It'd be cool for us to kind of hear it for next week. All right. If y'all need me in the meantime, just reach out 101, call or text. Talk to you later. Okay. Bye.